Hey, I am fired up for this matchup, and why wouldn't we be? Dolphins, Ravens, and potentially the number one seed in the AFC coming down to this matchup. So before we even get started, you got to let me know in the comments who you got. It's real simple. Type D for Dolphins or R for Ravens, and we've got a lot to preview on this matchup. So let's do it next on Dolphins Today. Welcome into this edition of Dolphins Today, and you can feel the energy, you can feel the juice, because here we are entering Week 17, and everything's in front of the Miami Dolphins. They've clinched a playoff berth, and now we start talking about seeding with arguably the biggest matchup of the season in Week 17 against the first-place Baltimore Ravens. Here's everything you need to know, starting with those important records for 2023. Obviously, the Dolphins come in with 11 wins compared to the Ravens' 12 after knocking off the San Francisco 49ers in that prime matchup against the 49ers. We've also got the Dolphins coming in with the number one scoring offense compared to the Ravens scoring defense, which is also first in the league. So something's got to give. The Ravens have been really good on offense as well. Fourth best scoring offense compared to the Dolphins, who each week that goes by, you're seeing them climb up those defensive stat rankings. Now 13th with 20.7 points per game. Now, as for the experts, they got the Ravens favored in this one. It makes a lot of sense when you think about Baltimore being at home with everything to gain for them. They can clinch the number one seed with a win. And then for the over-under, interesting to try to handicap this one because, like I said, you've got the number one scoring offense against the number one scoring defense. Meanwhile, the Ravens can put the ball in the end zone as well, but the Dolphins' defense since Week 9 has been one of the best in the NFL. So let's get to know these Baltimore Ravens even more. Like I mentioned, they're fresh off that big win in convincing fashion on the road, nonetheless, at Levi Stadium against the San Francisco 49ers. So they are riding high in Baltimore right now, especially when you consider what's on the line. They can clinch that number one seed and a first-round bye and home field throughout the playoffs with a win. And what better place to do it if you're Baltimore? They're 5-2 at home this season, and those two losses, one to the Colts, one to the Browns, were by a combined 5 points in walk-off field goal fashion. So even when there are two setbacks at home, it's come down to the wire. So you know Baltimore is tough at home, and it bears repeating, number one scoring defense and the number 4 scoring offense. Lamar Jackson, your current favorite to win the MVP. And just about every single sports book you look at, he is the odds-on favorite. So things are going in the right direction for the Baltimore Ravens. And when you talk about this team, you can't talk about the Ravens' success without mentioning the dominance of their defense. You're going to see a lot of ones here when we start talking about the Ravens' defense. They're first in scoring in terms of allowing the points per game. They're first in takeaways, which is also a crucial component of being a good defense, and they've got the most sacks in the NFL. You know the Dolphins have the second most. So, like I said, there's a lot on the line here, and something's got to give. But when you talk about how good that Ravens defense is, let's flip it around and ask you, how confident are you in this Dolphins offense coming off not necessarily their best performance of the year by any means? They settled for 5 field goals, but enough to beat the Cowboys, and they took care of the football. So let me know in the comments your confidence level in this Dolphins offense versus Baltimore. Scale it for me 1 through 10, and maybe you think, yeah, I don't think this Dolphins offense is going to score a point. Put a 1 down there. If you think it's time to make a statement for Miami, go ahead and put 10 and let me know. Now, you can't talk about this matchup without talking about the quarterback matchup. Again, Lamar Jackson, your favorite right now, the betting favorite for the NFL MVP. Tua, depending on where you do your shopping, which sports book you're looking at, is about 3rd or 4th in the MVP odds. But looking at the stats, you could make the case that Tua might be the better quarterback. But again, you know, it's a lot of different ways to cherry pick on what is the most important statistic as it relates to quarterback play. You could argue the one at the bottom, the most important. Lamar has his Ravens at 12-3 compared to the Dolphins at 11-4. Tua has turned the ball over twice more than Lamar. But those total yards, and obviously the bulk of those from Tua coming from passing compared to Lamar, who's more of a dual threat. But the total touchdowns, Tua has the edge there as well, 26 to 24. But the bottom line is both these quarterbacks have made convincing cases as elite upper echelon franchise QBs. So we asked you this last week, and it's time to ask you again with the marquee quarterback matchup. Who do you want in the big game? If you want Tua Tagovailoa, type TT. If you think, hey, Lamar Jackson offers you something that you just can't defend, go ahead and type LJ. You guys know my answer. I love Tua Tagovailoa, so I'd be typing TT. Now, coming up, we're going to continue to dive into this matchup and talk about the other side of the ball and how good this Dolphins defense has been since week 9. They're on quite the surge. But first, I got to give a huge shout out to today's presenting sponsor, Prize Picks. And you know how the magic happens and where it happens at prizepicks.com/CLNS. You know that Prize Picks is the most exciting and largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform, so you know you're getting the best options there. And by now you know that we've got up to a $100 deposit match waiting for you at prizepicks.com/CLNS. And maybe you've tuned me out on every time I've told you about Prize Picks, and now you're really dialed in and listening up. And I will tell you, Prize Picks is far and away the most fun I've had playing daily fantasy sports. I do it for every single Dolphins game. So if you want to join me on these picks, or maybe you want to fade me, either way, here's what I'm working with for the Week 17 matchup against the Baltimore Ravens. I think Devon Achane could be an X factor. Obviously, you hone in on Raheem Mostert. He leads the NFL with 18 rushing touchdowns. So maybe it's Devon Achane that breaks out. So I'm picking him to score a touchdown. Tyreek Hill, I think he finds the end zone as well. He had 99 yards against the Cowboys, but no touchdowns, so I think he's getting in the end zone. And this Dolphins defense, look for them to hold the Ravens to field goals, so I'm picking more on Justin Tucker's 1.5 projected number of field goals. So that's how it works. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Don't waste any more time. Head there now, and because we love you and we care about you, we'll put that link right in the comments of today's video as well as the description. So there's no excuse. It's one click and you're there. It's PrizePicks. It's PrizePicks.com/CLNS for up to a $100 deposit match. Now, since week 9, this Dolphins defense has been on a tear. It's almost like Vic Fangio's system that takes a little while to adapt to in his first year as defensive coordinator. Almost like it clicked in week 9. Because since week 9, take a look at the Dolphins' defensive rating statistically compared to the rest of the National Football League. Points per game. That's second best since week 9, allowing just 15.7 points per game. Yards per game. Oh, yeah, they are holding teams to just 258.9 yards per game, and that shutout against the Jets a couple weeks ago obviously helped that statistically when the Jets had 103 yards of total offense in one game. So obviously that's going to help in that category. Yards per play, third, and pass touchdowns compared to interceptions. So they've allowed 5 touchdowns and compiled 9 interceptions. That's the best mark in the NFL since week 9. So any way you slice it, this Dolphins defense has been the strength of the team in the second half of the season. And a lot of that stems from the ability to make the opposing quarterback uncomfortable, to get pressure on the opposing quarterback. And take a look at these numbers. Second most sacks in the NFL for this entire season with 52, and that is a franchise record. No other Dolphins team had ever compiled 52 sacks in a season, and there's still 2 more games to go. They're also second in quarterback pressure percentage, trailing only the Kansas City Chiefs, and first in quarterback hits. And I think it really sets the tone for the rest of the defense. You got guys like Bradley Chubb, Andrew Van Ginkel, Zach Sealer, Christian Wilkins, the lifeblood of this defense up front, getting to the quarterback, making it difficult, and we saw it against Dak Prescott. Obviously, we saw it the week before against the Jets with both Trevor Siemian and Zach Wilson. We've seen it time and time again. Whoever this Dolphins defense is going up against, getting pressure on the quarterback has been of the utmost focus, and they've delivered in a big way. Now, additionally, as we mentioned at the beginning of this video, forcing turnovers, also a crucial component to winning football games and playing winning football like we've seen from this Dolphins team. There is none better in the NFL than the Baltimore Ravens. They are plus 10 in turnover differential since the beginning of the season. That's the best mark in the NFL. Now, the Dolphins are +3, which is tied for 11th. But if you think about where they've been lately, they have really elevated their level of play in terms of winning the turnover battle. And it starts with Tua Tagovailoa at the quarterback position, is in the midst of a 4-game streak without throwing an interception. So he's taking care of the ball. It's almost like he watched Dolphins Today one time. It's like, Riepma's yelling at me for all the turnovers. Okay, I'll take care of the ball. So in 4 straight games without an interception, and when you couple that with the defense forcing turnovers, oh yeah, the Dolphins have been +8 in turnover differential in their last 4 games. A huge reason why they're 3-1 in those games. So let me know what you're thinking. Can the Dolphins win the turnover battle against the NFL's best, the Baltimore Ravens, who are +10 in that category? If you think they can, type Y for yes. You're like, oh, no, I don't think so. Go ahead and type N for no. I think the Dolphins can get it done. That's why I believe in the Aqua and Orange, because they've been really good on the defensive side. And with the Dolphins on the offensive side, you know they've got plenty of weapons to take that next step. So it will be fun to see it all unfold on Sunday. And you know we're going to have a watch party for that. It's the biggest game of the year, so make sure you join. Hit that sub button now. Our Dolphins Today community continues to grow, and that's a testament to each and every one of you that have subscribed already. My sincerest gratitude goes out to each and every subscriber that's helped make this channel what it is, because we love bringing you Dolphins content each and every day. And of course, our live watch parties will be on the air at noon with the 1 o'clock kickoff. So come early, come loud, and let's get ready to cheer on those Dolphins for a monumental win over the Baltimore Ravens. Shout out to producer Chip on the 1s and 2s. Couldn't do it without him. We appreciate everything he does for this program. And as always, thanks for tuning in to this edition of Dolphins Today.